Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Simplay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you the action once again here at Catalonia for the next round of the GT4 Championship. And we've just come up to the halfway stage of the season, and things are hotting up. Although the championship doesn't say that otherwise, it is definitely one driver looking the strongest out of them all. But we are here at Catalonia. We do have some weather lingering around, but I don't believe there's anything for the GT4s here tonight. It is meant to stay relatively dry, and I think the worst of the weather is for the Pro-Ams and for the pros. If I do sound a little bit different, if I do sound a little bit under the weather, it's because I am a little bit under the weather. Had a bit of a cold over the weekend and still trying to kind of shift it off, but I will try my very best to clear that throat as best I possibly can. Thank you also to PN Motorsport for last week stepping in while I was away, enjoying watching some fireworks with my girlfriend. But here I am live here for the next round here at Catalonia, and like I said, we got an interesting night's worth of racing ahead of us. If you are new to Simplay Motorsport, the format for tonight is this. GT4s will be heading around for 3 races this evening, only the 3, and they will be only 20 minutes long. Each session won't require a pit stop. They will be flat out from lights to flag, no fuel needed, no tyres needed. The only thing is difference for race 1 is in race 1 there will be a reverse grid, or essentially a top 10 can't qualify in the championship. I'm just trying to I don't know why. I'm not sure why my remote was doing that then. Strange. But yeah. Everything's not quite going to plan for this at the minute. But we are live, ready here at the next round of the season. Let's hear you guys in the chat. Gary Clarble in the chat saying evening all. But we are live for Barcelona. Regarding the championship standings, it does look like this. Matthew Duffin leads the way with 101 points ahead of his closest rival, Will Friedman, in second. Third is Skunky. He's another 118 points behind. Kieran O'Reilly is in fourth, but sadly will be out of the championship for the foreseeable future, as he seems to be having issues with his wheel. I believe he has sent it away, so you won't see him in the GT4s or in the GT3 Pro class. Ian McGowan is sat in P5, with Hugh Darren sitting 6th in the championship. 7th is Jamal Clouden. 8th is Gary Leach. 9th is Andy. And in 10th is Tipping. 11th is Sam. Our old sim racer sits in 12th. 13th is Diz. 14th is Nuclear Waste. 15th is Matt Wright. Well, KLF sat in 16th place position. Stardog in 17th, and in 18th place is Darren Bell. 19th is Dan Taylor, with Rob Smith sat in 20th position. I need to get Matt to actually put the full names on here, because this is more difficult than I thought. DJ Phil is in 21st position, with Susie's Green in 22nd. 23rd is Lucas, with 24th being Collins. 25th is Rolo. 26th was Sam, but he's pulled out, and Sky Shondemeyer 27th. John Goudet 28th. 29th is Putin. John Andrews in 30th. Rushton in 31st. And Beasley in 11th, which we still yet to get back due to his Xbox issues. Drivers that can qualify tonight's first races: Duffin, Friedman, Skunky, Riley, McGowan, Darren, Clouden, Leach, Andy, and Tipping. Everyone else, though, can qualify. Regarding drivers that are carrying ballast as well, it looks like this. Matthew Duffin, as your championship leader, still with the maximum ballast of 40 kilos on board, as Will Friedman's going to be carrying 35 kilos and Skunky with 30. 25 for O'Reilly, as 20 for McGowan, and 15 for Hugh Darren, 10 for Clouden, and 5 for Gary Leach. So who's going to be the first one to set a lap around here? It's going to be the 63 of Old Sim Racer. Like I said, nice to see you all in the chat. Let's hear from all of you guys as I'll get some facts about Catalonia for you all. Like I said, I'm just trying to clear this cold. Reminder as well, guys, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss any of the action here at Simplay Motorsport. Catalonia Circuit de Barcelona Catalonia. It's an FIA Grade 1 with 2 layouts, obviously one with the chicane and one without. This circuit was opened back in September 1991, 33 years ago, and its formal name is Circuit de Catalunya. Formula One has been raced here, obviously, with the Spanish Grand Prix. There's been MotoGP have been raced here as well with World GT, and it's very popular. I've just realised I'm not in the comms box, which is brilliant. Yeah, just a bit rushed at the minute, so that's probably why I'm not in there. So the current circuit layout is 2.8 miles long with 14 turns, and the current lap record is held by Max Verstappen, 1 minute 16.3 in the RB19, the 2023 car. So that's a quick rundown of the circuit. No comms box because I've not really had time to think. I've been rushing around like an idiot. So, yeah. And like I said, not feeling 100%. But I will now go into the comms box. But as Old Sim Racer comes out the final corner now, he is going to set the benchmark of a 155.2. Just behind him is KLF. What lap time is he going to set? He does. He's currently 2 seconds off as Rob Smith then goes into P2. The 135 is now next. Matt Wright coming to the line in his Aston Martin. He now goes top of the session with a 54.2. 7.41, that is Stardog. Is he going to go quicker? No, he's about 6/10 off the pace. Then we've got 171 of Rolo in his Porsche. He goes into 5th place position. The 85 of Dan Taylor in the Alpine next to come to the line. And what can he produce from his Alpine? He goes now P3 as we see now the start of the FBR duo drivers. That's Nuclear Waste. He does not set a lap time. Meanwhile, Matthew Collins goes into P7. We now look to Susie's Cream to then come into the final few corners here, and taking the chicane in a really odd way there, but he has a decent exit and a run out the final corner. To the line he comes, and he goes into 7th place position. Next we look to Sam and his Aston Martin. What can he do? No improvement from himself. As we will look back to Old Sim Racer once again to see if he can make an improvement. I'm just trying to also think. I'm going to try and find the keyboard, but I don't think I have a spare keyboard here to try and change the camera, so I'm not going to fiddle about doing it unless I had one, but either way, Old Sim Racer now coming to the final sector. Can he get himself higher than 4th place position? Reminder as well, the guys that cannot qualify are still in the pits. DJ Phil can qualify, but he's choosing not to come out at the minute. Old Sim Racer goes into P3. It's the 135 of Matt Wright coming out of the final corner now. And can he improve on his lap time? Currently half a second ahead of Stardog. No improvement by himself. The 7.41, that is Stardog. Has he found a little bit more time? He has, but does not improve his position and stays in 2nd place. Rolo next to come to the line. And no improvement from himself there. The 85 now are Dan Taylor. Exited in the final corner here. And he does improve, but doesn't improve on his position. As we see there, that was a driver setting a lap time. That was Nuclear Waste. He went to P6. And then Matthew Collins goes back in front of him into P5. The 86, I believe that is Is it 86? 96. That's it, 96 of Sam in the final sector. Exits the final corner and tries to get a good exit. To the line he comes. And Sam goes into P9. And once again, with it to Old Sim Racer. A very tricky circuit to get right, and obviously a well-balanced circuit at that as well. We should see a variety of different cars. Obviously, we've got a lot of Porsches out there at the minute setting lap times, but we should see it to be relatively balanced all round here. So we'll see how all the drivers get on. But out of the final corner comes Old Sim Racer. I know he does not improve on his position and stays in P4. Rob Smith, meanwhile. Yeah, pretty much half of the grid conquer. That's back in the old days, where back in the Project Cars days, we literally said half the grid wasn't allowed to qualify as Stardog doesn't improve. And that really did throw things up. It was definitely interesting, for sure. But it's definitely exciting when you have that. I was in the 152s yesterday in practice. Yeah, but now you've got some weight on board, Will, so we'll see if you're able to do that again in the qualifying sessions later on. 92, that is Matthew Collins to the line. No improvement from him. As we now look to Sam to set a lap time. Okay, left back in the pit. Seems to be a little bit struggling around here at Barcelona at the minute. And Sam running a little bit wide. Into the chicane he comes. Nice and tidy through there. Dan Taylor done as well. Excuse me. And Sam goes into P4, drops Old Sim Racer down a position. This is pretty much going to be some of the guys' last run here. DJ Phil saying he's going to start from pit lane because he hasn't quite got his setup ready to qualify. Well, you can still start on the track, Phil. You don't have to start from pit lane. But Old Sim Racer comes out in the final corner. And I believe 35 kilos worth of that as well. So it's going to be holding you down a little bit there, Will. To the line comes Old Sim Racer. He will get another lap time on the board. Will anyone else? Matt is it back in the pits. Who's that coming to the line? That is Rob Smith. And he won't improve. He won't improve anymore. And that is him done for qualifying as well. Stardog now. He's only just under. Well, I was about to say he's just under. He's gone fastest now. He is top of the session, and Matt Wright not in the position to challenge him. He's back in pit lane. Rolo enters pit lane as well. It is just the 29 of Matthew Collins. What can he do? Because also Old Sim Racer bailed out on his lap. So what can he do? He's dropped it and into the pit lane he goes. But it's Stardog who takes pole position here for the first qualifying session of the night, and should be an interesting race ahead of us. And guys, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget as well, have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. All their information are in the bio below. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, including Simplay merchandise. Head over to their Facebook page, which is the link in the description. And then there's also Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk, and there's also a Facebook link in the description as well. Gary Clark saying good luck to all. Yes, indeed, good luck to all of the GT4 drivers here this evening, as we are looking forward to the first sprint race of the night. Lovely banner in a way, so we can't really see anything, and I don't have a keyboard to change it. But definitely looking forward to some great racing here this evening. Right, I will get a poll going on who you think is going to win the first race. you do want to be a part of the action here at Simplay Motorsport, then head over to our Discord page and sign up. Get your hot stints done. If you don't get your hot stints done, then we won't be able to put you in the correct category. Yes, even if you want to do GT4s, if you do ever want to participate in any of the events, we will then obviously have the right information for you to go in any category that you wish to race.
10 seconds.
So 10 seconds now before the guys will get themselves underway, ready to get their first formation lap underway. And there we go. There's a poll out on who you think is going to win this first race. So I said over to our Discord page and also the sim grid as well, so you can get yourself signed up. The signed up pages are also on the Discord as well. Oh, rather an itchy nose there. So yeah, we have some also great racing here. Wade in the chat, Rob Smith for the win. We'll see what he can do in the Alpine in 8th place position. He's got a lot of work to do, but stranger things have happened here at Simplay Motorsport, especially in these GT4s. Clouden has already rolled his Chevy. Although the Chevy is very good at riding the curbs, he's already rolled his. And yeah, which usually isn't a good a good sign. I don't think I've ever managed to roll the Chevy over, but I did see Clouden do it, and if you do want to see that footage, you have to go to our Discord, because that's where he's dropped it in there. So yeah, vote in on who you think is going to win this one. I apologise as well if I keep making noises like that. Right, I'm also going to have been a while since I've done this on my own. As I get through the halfway stage of this warm-up lap, tyre preparation is key at the minute, making sure they get enough tyre temperature and warmth, and brakes as well, ready for the start of this race. First, I gave votes in on who you think is going to win this one. 4 votes already going the way of Stardog, but like I said, if you think somebody else, then put it in the chat. Any other predictions that you expect to happen here at Barcelona? Are we expecting all these guys to make it through the first couple of corners clean? Hopefully so. As they now come into the chicane and get themselves in a 2x2 formation. It's Porsche versus Aston on the front row. But who is going to come out on top? Germany versus Great Britain. As they exit the final corner. Race 1 of the evening. We now just wait for the green here at Circuit Barcelona to Catalonia.
Green light, green light. Go, go, go.
And we are green and go racing here in Spain as we head down the main straight, and Matt Wright gets the jump straight away and gets ahead of the Porsche driver. Down towards turn number 1 we go. And the Porsche looks like he's just coming back ever so slightly up the inside, has the inside corner and gets the job done. There goes KLF. He's been tapped and spun around. And his dreadful season continue on. And Clouden's been hit. There's all sorts of chaos ahead. And also been caught up in there has been Will Friedman and Matthew Duffin, the two championship contenders. Will Friedman with quite a bit of damage to the back of, or the side of his car. Did KLF manage to just clear all those cars? He did. So he's not right at the back. Matt, let's go for the win, says not a clue how to pronounce that name, but it is Stardog leading the way from Matt in second, Sam, Old Sim Race, Nuclear Waste, Matthew Collins joined behind Gary Leach. So Gary Leach is on the move, Rob Smith and Jamal Clouden close together with Skunky just behind them, Andy as well tipping in 12th with Susie's Cream, Matthew Duffin in 14th, KLF just behind them all with Will Freedom as well. Who Darren got a lot of damage from that, as did Dan Taylor and Rolo. DJ Phil coming out of the pits. So right now, Gary Leach is the one on the way. T1 is always the killer. Yes, it is. And they managed to get, other than KLF going off, they did manage to negotiate turn 2. It was then actually turn 1. It was actually turn 2 and 3 that seemed to be the congestion, as Gary Leach now right on the back of Nuclear Waste, and Gary has got a very fast Ginetta underneath him at the minute, and he's looking to try and get a race win this season. Susie's Cream now ahead on Matthew Duffin, trying to stop the Mercedes coming on through. Matthew carrying that 40 kilos on board and is going to be really struggling to clear this Ginetta, but should be able to do it in a straight line, as KLF is right behind them as well. And Gary Leach looking to try and make a move on the Aston, but hasn't got that straight line advantage. Meanwhile, Clouden in that Chevy is very strong in a straight line and is looking up the inside of the Alpine of Rob Smith. Is he going to outbrake him into turn 1? He should be able to. Yes, he does, and into turn 1 he goes. Matthew Duffin, has he cleared Susie's Cream? Yes, he has. KLF tried to go with him but couldn't do so. But he's got Will Friedman just behind him, as Hugh Darren has come into the pits with major damage. Meanwhile, Stardog extends his lead as much as he can, while Matthew Wright sat in that second place. Sam just behind him, an Old Sim Racer setting the fastest lap. And Nuclear Waste under some pressure from Gary 131. Gary, with no real fast drivers ahead of him, has a great opportunity to try and score some decent points and get a race win underneath his belt. He's stuck behind the Aston Martin of Nuclear Waste at this stage. Who else is on the move? Susie's Cream is holding off KLF at the minute with Will Friedman right behind them. And Skunky is already onto the back of Jamal Clouden as well. He's cleared Rob Smith as well. It's all relatively opened up at the minute. Gary Leach trying to work his way forward, as Jamal Clouden has got Matthew Collins ahead of him now. Matthew Collins trying to defend from the Chevy into the farther end of the circuit. And this is where the Porsche should have the advantage over the Chevy, but Matthew Collins has run wide. He will manage to get the apex of the chicane, but holds everybody up ever so slightly. And meanwhile, Matthew Duffin is trying to pass cars. He's cleared tipping, but Jamal Clouden now right under the rear wing of the Porsche, going to pull out onto the inside. No, he hasn't quite got the run. Goes back into the slipstream again. Sam now sets fastest lap of the race, with Jamal Clouden, and Matthew Collins goes down the main straight. And up the inside goes Jamal Clouden. Job done for him. And just ahead of him, a car kicks up some dust. Was that Gary Leach? And now Skunky is looking to try and make a move on the Porsche driver as well. Up behind him he comes. He's going to be looking left and right. He hasn't quite got the straight line advantage that the Chevy has, but he has got the cornering advantage, as he's looking to try and make a move on him as soon as possible, as Collins has run wide. And there's Rob Smith. He's gone off, and he's lost 2 places there, as that's a brave move from Skunky around the outside of turn 5, and he gets the job done, and he now follows Clouden through. Meanwhile, Stardog lost a little bit of his lead advantage to Matt Wright, who's got a little bit closer. Sam losing touch with them as well. He's got Old Sim Racer, Nuclear Waste and Gary Leach hunting them down. KLF meanwhile right on the rear wing of Susie's Cream, tipping, and Rob Smith as well. So Rob Smith, losing those 2 positions, has dropped right behind tipping as well. KLF looking up the inside of Susie's Cream, and that's a big bold move, and he gets the job done and he gets it stopped. As they now go through the 3rd sector. Penalty? What do you mean penalty in the chat? Be more specific. Are you talking about a driver making contact? Because if so, it'll probably be put into the stewards chat which will be reviewed and looked at. As we said about the rain lurking, it is turned up. Here is the rain. Now, how much is this going to affect the track? We've got wet weather. I thought it was going to stay relatively dry, but we've got rain here. And who's this going to favour the most now? Matthew Duffin setting faster lap, and he goes into turn 1 and out breaks Andy there and gets that job done. Dan Taylor into the pits. Is he possibly looking to put the wets on? It's way too early for that. Way too early. As Matt Wright has lost a little bit of ground to Stardog, and Sam's trying to hunt him down. Gary Leach still can't get past Nuclear Waste at the minute, and that's starting to hold him up and allow Jamal Clouden to get a little bit closer. Skunky, meanwhile, is really pushing Jamal Clouden as much as he possibly can. A lot of drivers now in. Rolo, DJ Phil, all into the pits. They're surely gone on to the wet tyre. Why would they pit so early? As Stardog still trying to pull away from Matt Wright. It's still dry conditions. The track has been deemed greasy. It's when it gets damp is when it's at its trickiest. So is this a brilliant call from the guys who put the wets on? But into the chicane they go. Goes Gary Leach and Nuclear Waste. And right now Gary can't seem to find an opening. Maybe in these tricky wet conditions the Ginetta will be more favoured as he looks to the outside of the Aston. He does a beautiful undercut, gets too much curb, but then switches back underneath, and beautiful move there from Gary Leach. Very touring car S there, and brilliantly done as well, and pulls away from Nuclear Waste. But Nuclear Waste is straight under pressure from Jamal Clouden. Is he also going to be under stress from Skunky? As the rain is still coming down, it's turning greasy. We'll keep an eye on if it turns damp. But at this minute, Jamal Clouden has now cleared Nuclear Waste as well. And just behind them, Skunky is with Matthew Duffin trying to push his way up the order as well. KLF and Will Freeman have both cleared Skunky as Susie's Cream as well. And they're going to try and catch Rob Smith as much as they possibly can. But they got their own little scrap going on at the minute. But as the rain comes down, what do the guys do for tyres? Matt, in second, still got that gap to Sam and Old Sim Racer. Gary now clearing Nuclear Waste. He's got Clouden right behind him, and now Skunky. So Skunky's cleared Nuclear Waste pretty easily. So as soon as one place was given, Nuclear Waste was in all sorts of trouble there. As he got always touched the curb there and got a little bit loose. Oh, the curb's now starting to become a little bit lethal. Gary Leach has become under some pressure here from Jamal Clouden. Clouden goes around the outside of him and gets that job done. That is the power of that Chevy Camaro. And down the inside comes Skunky. He sees the door, he goes for it, and Gary just gives him enough space, a little tap from him, and Nuclear Waste taps him and goes round. So now Nuclear Waste comes off worse. He drops behind Matthew Collins, as Matthew Duffin is now on the back of Skunky. And Gary Leach has gone deep. He's managed to keep it on the track, and these greasy conditions started to catch drivers out, I think. DJ Phil in again. I think he wanted to put the wets on, but it did not change to wets. And I think it's going to stay greasy for pretty much this entire race. Down the back, meanwhile, Will Freeman still can't find a way past on KLF. We are at the halfway stage of this race, so the poll will end there. 8 of you did the votes, and majority reckon that Stardog is going to win this race, and he is comfortably leading this race at the minute with 2.5 seconds ahead of Matt Wright, who's again starting to lose a little bit of time to Sam and Old Sim Racer. But Jamal Clouden now the leader of this pack. Gary Leach staying ahead of Skunky and Matthew Duffin, who's up the inside. The weight might actually start helping these guys keep their car a little bit more planted as Matt goes a little bit deep. Skunky comes back underneath and gets a good run out of that corner of turn 4. Matt's going to go up the inside though of turn 5. In these wet, greasy conditions, you've got to trust that your brakes are going to stop. and Matt should be able to get that job done. Meanwhile, Sam is right behind Matt Wright, so Matt Wright has made a mistake somewhere. Gary's gone wide and just starting to get caught out by these greasy conditions. So Sam right on the back of Matt Wright, and Gary struggling all sorts right now. Matthew Duffin going to the outside. He'll have the inside then for the hairpin. And Gary Leach just making too many mistakes at the minute. Matthew goes up the inside, and Gary gives him a shove and pushes him off track. So now Matthew Duffin is going to try and keep his nose up the inside. Gary's going to give him the space, but he goes out onto the marbles, and he's struggling to get a little bit of grip out there. He managed to get some. He's on the wet curb. Can he stay around the outside? Yes, he is. He's going to be on the inside for the chicane. He gets the job done. Is Skunky going to try and sneak his nose up the inside? No, he's not. And this is just allowing Clouden to disappear. And we've got a right train behind them now. Oh, it's Matthew Collins there. Runs very wide. As Sam still trying to find a way on Matt Wright. Now the Mercedes-Benz strong in a straight line just out drags the Ginetta there as Gary looks to the inside of turn number 1. Matthew gives him a wide berth, and Gary's going to be much better in the corners. Oh, and Skunky! I don't know if that's a flash of the lights there, but he's ended up in the wall, and Gary now back up the inside. Matthew Duffin, but he hasn't got the grunt to do anything with it. And I think the conditions are going to stay greasy. And Gary Leach still trying to find a way through. Sam has cleared Matt Wright, so Matt's made a mistake somewhere and has ended up behind Sam. Old sim racer now trying to find a way through as Jamal Clouden has joined the scene, but Stardog has got this under control. No need for the wet tyres. He's been comfortable out in front. Greasy conditions suiting the Porsche lovely at the minute, with Sam in second, Matt Wright in third, Old Sim Racer in fourth, and Jamal Clouden in fifth. Matthew Duffin fastest lap. With it being greasy now, I don't think that's going to be beaten in that 6th place, with Gary Leach still right behind him, mind, but in the corners he'll look mighty. Up to the hairpin. This final sector is where this Ginetta should be at its strongest, and I know Matt has never been comfortable in this final sector. Ginetta probably looking the strongest in this sector as well, but Gary just struggling to stick to the back of that Mercedes-Benz. They're just trying to find the limits. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden has got past Old Sim Racer, so again another mistake possibly for Old Sim Racer that's given Jamal Clouden that opportunity. Meanwhile, Skunky is starting to hunt down Matthew Collins after his little mistake into the wall. That was nuclear waste. He's gone very deep. That's given Tipping a sniffing opportunity. Friedman has now cleared KLF. It's looking like Stardog's race to lose at the minute. And as you can see there, Sam is still struggling. Although he's got past Matt, he's still struggling. And Matt's looking to come back at him as they head down towards turn number 5. Clouden also just trying to keep the car under limits here, not make a mistake, as Old Sim Racer is still there. Matthew Duffin's still got Gary Leach not too far behind him, as Gary Leach has lost the position to Andy. So Gary's made another mistake somewhere, and Andy slipped up the inside. And again, Matt Wright not as quite as close to Sam as he probably wanted to. Into the hairpin they go. Yeah, he's lost a bit of time. Clouden, though, looking quite solid in these greasy conditions. Can he bring the gap down to the cars in front? Curves are looking really slippery now. You do not want to be touching too many of them. Meanwhile, Gary and Skunky completely ignore what I say and run them like mad. It's all relatively even towards the front now. The guys at the back who've decided to put wets on hasn't really worked out for them at all. A gamble that they could afford to get away with, but it hasn't worked out. Meanwhile, Sam has had a poor final sector, and Matt Wright is now on the move. He's looking to the outside, heading down towards turn number 1. They're going to be fairly even on a straight line, but it looks like Matt's had a better exit. He's going to get the run, but Sam's going to try and make sure he brakes later. He does. He gets it stopped and stays ahead, and being the leading Aston Martin driver as well. But while this is all going on, Jamal Clouden is bringing the gap down. And up towards turn number 4 they go. Sam earlier on looked like the quicker Aston, and it's now Matt Wright coming back at him. They seem to be ebbing and flowing between each sector. And now Jamal Clouden with Old Sim Racer has turned up. Gary Leach has still got Skunky and Matthew Collins breathing down his neck. One mistake from Gary, and these two are going to find their way through. Into the middle sector they go. Stardog, meanwhile, is just disappearing up the road. He's got this race underhand. And up to the fast swooping right-hander. Sometimes you find that the damage on your car might actually help you in the wetter conditions, as it is meant to stop raining in a few moments' time. But right now, Sam is still hanging on in there against Matt Clouden and Old Sim Racer. Matthew Duffin is just slowly starting to creep onto the back of these guys. Into the chicane they go. Sam from Matt Wright, from Clouden, from Old Sim Racer, from Matthew Duffin, bouncing too much on the curb there. Andy's just behind him. Gary Leach from Skunky, from Matthew Collins, then it's Nuclear Waste, and then tipping as well. And then Will Friedman just off the back of that, caught up in the early incidences earlier on. KLF in 14th place position, Rob Smith in 15th, Susie Cream in 16th, Hugh Darren 17th, DJ Phil in 18th, Rolo 19th, and 20th is Dan. But it's still Stardog leading the way at the minute, as Sam's made a mistake. He's running a little bit wide out of turn 2, but luckily turn 3 comes relatively quickly, and he's able to defend the inside from Matt Wright. And Matt looking to the outside here. Sam defends the inside, but will he go wide? Matt will have the inside. Yes, he will. He's going to get the better grip. But once again, Sam just does enough to stay in front. And Jamal Clouden at the minute patiently waiting for an opportunity to come his way. Matt up the inside now of Sam into the left-hander. Sam turns in, and Jamal Clouden's right on the scene, and Sam's going to hang in there. And Jamal Clouden, is he going to make it through wide? No, he's not that daft. He goes around the outside of the right-hander, and Jamal Clouden on the curb, probably the last place he wants to be, but he will get the job done. And now Old Sim Racer is looking to the inside, and Sam defends the inside. So Sam losing 2 places in a couple of corners, was trying not to lose another place to Old Sim Racer, who's gone round. Matthew Duffin has hit him. Matthew has to wait, and Old Sim Racer has got going. Matthew's hit him, and Matthew's dropping down the order now. So Clouden now, can he gain a second place position as Stardog will exit the final corner and start his final lap here. A massive gap to the rest of the pack. And Matthew Duffin's now championship contender is right behind him. Will Friedman is right there, as is Skunky. So Skunky's had another off or something. Skunky's gone straight on the chicane. So these tricky grease conditions are starting to affect some of these guys here. Andy's benefited massively out of all this. These greasy conditions really testing drivers at the minute. Tipping got major damage to his car as well, so maybe he's been involved in something. But Matt Wright at the minute, can he hang on to that second place position? For the meantime, Jamal Clouden is trying to do everything he can to bring that gap down, but it's not enough at this stage. Matthew Collins once again looking to come back at Gary Leach, but can't seem to get quite enough momentum on that Ginetta. And Jamal Clouden flashing his lights, letting the Aston Martin driver know that he is coming and is looking to hunt him down right at the very end. He will have the straight line advantage over the Aston, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless he nails this final sector. Well, Friedman is still looking to try and make a move on Matthew Duff, and that's important for the championship. But it's going to be this man who is going to take the first win tonight. Stardog into the final chicane, into the final corner. The Porsche driver from lights to flag. He put it on pole, and he's going to take the race win here in Catalonia in greasy conditions. Stardog wins the first race here. Congratulations to him. Matt Wright is going to finish in second, with Clouden in third. Fourth is going to go the way of Sam. Andy is in a solid P5 position. Gary Leach will finish in sixth, with Matthew Collins in seventh. Nuclear Waste is going to finish in that P8 position, with Old Sim Racer in ninth. 10th is Matthew Duffin, with Will Friedman in 11th. Skunky will finish in that 12th place position. KLF in the end finishing in 13th. Tipping coming out of the final corner now has got Rob Smith right behind him, but he will stay in that 14th. Rob Smith in 15th. 16th is Susie's Cream. Hugh Darren is 17th. DJ Phil, whoa, is in 18th. Rolo's already finished in that 19th place position. So out of the final corner comes DJ Phil. He'll finish in 18th. Darren Taylor in 20th, and then Hugh Darren rounding off the final driver to cross the line. What a dramatic first race that's been. I was not expecting the wet, greasy conditions. They've turned up, and it's going to make it a dramatic night's worth of racing. Hugh Darren now crosses the line to finish in 17th. Brilliant race from the guys at the front, and some of the others just struggling in these greasy conditions. We'll be back in a few moments' time, as we will have the next qualifying session underway. Everyone can qualify for this one, but we'll be back in a few moments' time.
Green light, give it all you can. Green light, go, go, go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Simplay Motorsport as we now get ourselves underway for second qualifying here at Barcelona, Catalonia. And what a dramatic race one that was. Not a lot has changed in the championship, other than Ian dropping down the order ever so slightly. But it looks like this. Matthew Duffin still leading the way with 104 points ahead of Will Friedman, with Skunky in that third place position, 122 behind. Kieran O'Reilly still in fourth place, but I'm sure that's going to change as Jamal Cloud is now up into fifth. With Gary Leach moving up to sixth as well. Ian is still sat in seventh. Eighth is Hugh Darren and Andy in ninth place position. Sam in 10th with Tipping in 11th. Old Sim Racer in 12th with Stardog in 13th. Matt Wright is now into 14th place position with Nuclear Waste in 15th. Diz is in 16th with KLF now in 17th place. 18th is Dan Taylor with 19th going away of Darren Bell. 20th is Rob Smith and DJ Phil in 21st. Easy Scream in 22nd with Matthew Collins in 23rd. Lucas in 24th. Rolo 25th and Sky. Shane in 26th and Sky in 27th. John Goudet in 28th. Puntin in 29th. Andrews in 30th. Rushton 31st. And Beasley in 32nd. We now go into qualifying and everyone's able to qualify in this one. It's only a short 5-minute qualifying session, and at the minute Jamal Clouden and KLF have not gone out at the minute. But it's Dan Taylor who's going to be the first one to set a lap time. We've got beautiful sunshine, but the rain is meant to be on its way, so we'll keep an eye on that as Dan Taylor will start a flying lap now. And it's important in a short 5-minute qualifying session as KLF does now join us on the track. I've lost my drink. No, I haven't. There it is. Jamal Clouden really needs to get a boogie on, because if he doesn't, he's going to end up starting at the back of the pack, and that's the last thing he wants. And it's really tricky just to nail the lap around here. I don't know if Jamal Clouden's on a qualifying ban. Let me have a quick look. Weekly roundup. Yeah, sorry. So Jamal Clouden has got a qualifying ban, so that's why he's actually in the pit lane. So Clouden, I forgot, he has got a qualifying ban for this race. So Jamal Clouden in pit lane and cannot qualify for this one. But luckily, he seems to have quite a lot of pace in that Chevy, whether if it's in the dry or in the wet. So we'll see what he can do from there. The ones to keep an eye on is Will Friedman, Matthew Duffin, Skunky is another one, but obviously the guys with no ballast on board as well, another ones we could keep an eye on. But at the minute, we are on board with Dan Taylor, who's currently on a lap. And he's got KLF just in front of him, but hopefully shouldn't affect him too much. KLF did manage to get back out on track. Another driver's in the pits. That's Matthew Collins. He will not get a lap time on the board, so he will be starting at the back with Jamal Clouden. So Clouden not going to be starting at the very back. KLF will get into the final corner and will be able to set a lap time on the board. At the final corner comes Dan Taylor. He's going to set the pace here for the first qualifying session. And it's a 54.6, and right behind him was Skunky and Matthew Duffin. And Matthew Duffin goes into third. Skunky sets the fastest lap of the session. And tipping now goes to fourth. Andy in fifth. Who else is up there as Susie's Cream goes P4 as well. And where is Friedman? Matt Wright now goes into P2. Where is Friedman? He's currently in the further end of the circuit. Will he get another lap? That's the question. Rolo is going through and not set a lap time. Nuclear Waste goes up into P6. And DJ Phil not set a lap time either. Gary Leach exits the final corner. What can he do? Can he put it near the front? He goes second, just behind Skunky. A great lap time from Gary Leach there. Into the final chicane they go. And Jamal Clouden obviously at the back with Matthew Collins, as Matt Wright and Stardog are done. Has Will Friedman done enough on this one lap? He comes to the line. He does not set a lap time. He starts behind Jamal Clouden as well. So Will Friedman's got a lot of work to do. Now, KLF not put a lap time on the board yet. He's currently 15th at this stage. Can he get one on the board? As we got the rain coming in 10 minutes time. I don't know if that's going to translate into the actual race itself, but into the final sector comes KLF. Skunky at the minute on pole position, and they're all stuck behind one car by the looks of things. Skunky is done, he's had enough. But out of the final corner comes KLF. What position is this going to put him? 12th place, so a decent lap time from himself there. Matthew Duffin, meanwhile, stuck behind Rob Smith. And Rob Smith goes up to P8, while Matthew Duffin goes into P4. 67, that was Tippings. He's improved up a few places. Susie's Cream doesn't improve either. And a few others coming to the line. Gary Leach is the one we need to keep an eye out. Can he... as who Darren goes fastest now. He takes pole position away from Skunky. And Gary Leach is not going to improve with that lap time. And over the curb he goes. So it is Hugh Darren who takes pole position here for the second qualifying session here. That Alpine looking relatively strong here. But it is Alpine from Janetta and Janetta with Skunky and Leach in second and third. Matt Wright in fourth. Matthew Duffin in fifth. Stardog sixth. Taylor in seventh. Waste in eighth. Sim Racer in ninth. Smith in 10th. Creams in 11th. Sam in 12th. Tipping in 13th, Rolo 14th, and KLF 15th place position. Andy in 16th, DJ Phil in 17th, Clouden in 18th, Collins in 19th, and Friedman back of the pack. Now, the session says no rain, but we have to wait until the race gets underway to actually see what the conditions are like. The Janettas here have looked very, very strong tonight. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at Simplay Motorsport. As I will now get a race winner on the board. Excuse me. And don't forget to have a look at our fantastic sponsors of Design Manchester and Audio Sport. All their information are in the description below. In the description below is also all the information you need to be a part of Simplay Motorsport.
20 seconds.
as these guys are about to get underway. Reminder as well, if you do want to be a part of Simplay Motorsport, you need to get your hot stints done. If you don't get your hot stints done, we will not be able to put you into any championship, as we need to know exactly where you stand regarding pace, so we can put you in the correct category. There's a poll for you guys. As we will get things underway. So, Hugh Darren takes pole position here. Will he take the race win as well? The pole has gone up for you guys. So get themselves prepped and ready to go. Everyone has made the start here. They will all start under the green flag here. And it's the smaller, light, agile cars here on the front row. Can the big, heavy Mercedes or Aston Martin of Matt Wright and Matthew Duffin do anything about the light, agile Alpines and Ginettas? As they will get themselves into their last few preparations, making sure they have enough fuel as well. And will the rain come as well? That is the question. It looks like it's going to stay dry for this one, so no wet weather going to affect this race. So who's going to take the race win out of this one, guys? If you don't think it's out of the four that I've suggested, then please put in the chat on who you think is going to win this one. Doesn't have to be Hugh Darren, Skunky, Gary Leach or Matt Wright. It could be anyone else. As we're about to get ourselves underway for the second race tonight. As they now get into their 2x2 formation. Matthew Duffin, importantly, ahead of his championship rivals of Will Friedman is his closest rival. Skunky's got quite a bit of a gap to bring the gap down, but either way, Matthew Duffin exactly where he needs to be. Is Hugh Darren on the front row for Alpine with Skunky alongside, and we are green here for race 2 as we get things underway as they head down towards turn number 1. And already Ginetta of Skunky looking to the outside. Gary Leach has had a great start as well, as has Matt Wright. They're going to go 2 down into the chicane. They're side by side, they go 3 wide, and Gary sends up the inside, gets up to second place, and once again Hugh Darren, a car that's leading, has lost the lead, and Gary Leach goes around the outside of turn 2 and gets Skunky as well. So Gary Leach now leads this race ahead of Skunky, and Gary Leach now up into first. Matthew Duffin just sitting behind them at the minute as Matthew Wright looks to the inside of turn 4 but can't get the job done there, as Hugh Darren's looking to come back at Gary to try and take his lead but can't get far enough alongside. Everyone else managing to negotiate the first couple of corners okay, there's a few drivers actually further back. That is DJ Phil down there with Matthew Collins, Will Friedman, and KLF and Tipping as well. So all those guys must have been caught up in something as it's tight in the mid-pack. But it's Gary Leach who leads the way from Hugh Darren, from Skunky, from Matt Wright, from Matthew Duffin, from Stardog, from Dan Taylor, from Old Sim Racer. And then Rob Smith dropping to the back of this group. He was in the lead of this group, but he's now dropped to the back of it. But it's Gary Leach leading the way from Hugh Darren. Hugh Darren, can he get his position back? That is the question. Into the second part of the third part of the lap. And Gary Leach should have equal terms with the Alpine going down the straight as Hugh Darren goes a little bit deep into the chicane, loses momentum, and that gives Skunky a great run down towards turn number 1. And Hugh Darren now under some immense pressure here from the Ginetta driver, and towards the inside goes Skunky, but he hasn't got the straight line. Look, Hugh Darren just staying in Gary Leach's slipstream here. Ow, there goes my knee. As Skunky's going to look up the inside and tries to do it around the outside, does Hugh Darren. He goes on the curb a little bit too much, and Skunky will get position. Meanwhile, behind them, Matthew Duffin has overtaken Matt Wright around the outside of turn number 1. And Hugh Darren now has to fall in back behind Skunky. Down towards turn number 4 they go. And Skunky runs a little bit wide on entry, but it gets a better exit because of it. As now Hugh Darren looking to try and get that position back, while Gary Leach is trying to pull away as quickly as he possibly can. Gary Leach, I think he's about 3 podiums away from his 100th. As Hugh Darren's gone off there, he's gone wide, possibly missed his brakes, and loses multiple places there to Matthew Duffin, Matt Wright, Stardog, Dan Taylor, and possibly more here. Yes, he is. He's going to lose out to Nuclear Waste, possibly Jamal Clouden, who didn't qualify, remember, and he's already up into P9. And Hugh Darren's under pressure from the Chevy Camaro. Down the inside goes Clouden. Has he got the job done? Yes, he has. And Hugh Darren losing another position there. Now he's under pressure from the Aston Martin driver. Meanwhile, it's still Gary Leach leading the way. In 30 minutes time we should have rain, so it shouldn't really affect these guys in this one. So now it's going to be an intense fight between the top 3 drivers. The 2 Ginettas, though, should be mighty in the corners but struggle on the straights. It is Gary Leach leading away from Skunky, from Duffin, from Wright, from Stardog, from Taylor, from Waste, who's under pressure, from Clouden, Darren, Sam, Sim Racer. Here comes Rob Smith and Friedman. And Friedman looks like he's going to get the job done. Susie's Cream, from Rolo, from Andy, from Matthew Collins, DJ Phil, Tipping, and Kale off to the back of the pack. Friedman, has he got the job done? Yes, he is. Up the inside he goes and through up into that position. Clouden did also get Nuclear Waste as well. So Clouden working his way up the order. Gary Leach still at the minute got control of this race. He's ahead of Skunky. What else is happening further back? Rolo's dropping down the order, as is Andy. DJ Phil's dropping the order as well, as they're all trying to negotiate the first couple of laps here. Now the 2 Ginettas now starting to pull away from Duffin here, and Duffin is now starting to become under some pressure from the Aston Martin driver of Matt Wright, the pro driver on a Thursday night. And he's looking for a way through on Matthew Duffin at the minute. Can't seem to find a way through at the minute. And the Mercedes will be helping him in a straight line, but Duffin will be under some pressure from that Aston Martin. Meanwhile, Gary Leach under some immense pressure from the Ginetta driver of Skunky. And all he has to do is focus on getting good exits. If he does that, he should be all right for the straights. Similar cars, obviously. Probably a different setup from one another. But Skunky setting fastest lap of the race. We've got a slow car to the back of the pack. That is Susie's Cream. He's obviously had an incident somewhere, and it's relatively close towards the back end of the group as well. DJ Phil's dropped down the order and has lost out to Tipping and KLF. But meanwhile, Skunky pretty much pushing Gary Leach up in towards turn 3. He's got a nose up the inside. Can he stay there? Gary stays in front and will defend the inside to turn 4. No, he doesn't. He's just in front of Skunky, who runs wide. And that saves Gary Leach again. But Skunky likes that late apex and straight line better exit, as you see here. Rob Smith once again dropping down the order. He's going to lose out to possibly Andy here, who's looking to the outside. Can he get the job done? Andy's just twitching all over the place. He can't get away through there, as Clouden meanwhile has set fastest lap of the race. How far away from this gaggle of cars? He's not a million miles away, so sooner or later he will join the party, as Gary Leach is just starting to hold the rest of the pack up a minute. Some great racing we're starting to see here, as votes are now coming in. And 3 votes so far, 1 each going to Darren, Skunky and Leach. And obviously, who Darren's got a lot of work to do to get back onto this group of cars. But it's Gary Leach, the one on the move and has taken the race lead. Can he keep hold of it? That is the question, because Skunky is giving him a hard time. Matthew Duffin not a million miles away either, kind of waiting for something to happen to benefit him, as Wright hits that curb a little bit too hard and Skunky runs wide. And as we see that, also Matt Wright getting a little bit too much on the curb and has now lost time to Duffin. But out of all this, Jamal Clouden is still in this fight after starting from the back of the pack. This has been his drive so far this season here at Barcelona. Can he keep it up and work his way to the front, as Skunky once again gets a little bit closer to the back of Gary Leach? Meanwhile, Will Friedman clearing old sim racer. He's going to look to the outside of turn 1. Is he better on the brakes? Yes, he is. And Friedman goes right around the outside and gets the job done, as Andy looking on the back of Rob Smith. Rob Smith runs wide, and that's going to allow Andy to go around the outside, and he's got the job done. We'll go back to the front, and Skunky once again pretty much pushing his fellow Ginetta driver. Can't find a way through at the minute. There's not many places you can really overtake around here. You've got to have quite a car advantage at Barcelona to try and win this race. We'll get the job done in the corners, and I think that might have been a track limit warning there for Gary, because he's lifted quite a bit there. And Skunky now right onto the back of him, as is Jamal Clouden to the Alpine of Dan Taylor. Skunky has got to look to the inside of turn number 1. You've got to be up much earlier in the morning to outfox Gary Leach into a hairpin. But Gary doing everything he possibly had to have a win. He's been winless for a while now. I can't remember the last time Gary Leach has won a race, but he is still ahead of Skunky at this stage, and he's hanging in there as we're coming up to the halfway stage of this race. This has been a brilliant race so far. We didn't need the rain to interfere with this one, because the Ginettas at the front of Gary and Skunky are just keeping everyone together at the minute. Matt just can't quite get close enough at this stage. Skunky's got a great run through here. He's in the slipstream of Gary Leach. Can he outbrake him into turn number 1? He's going to look to turn number 1. Gary's going to stay on the racing line though, and Skunky once again can't get the run into turn number 1. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden has got up the inside of Dan Taylor. He's going to get the job done in 1. No, he's not, because Dan's going to stay to the outside, carry that momentum through, and stay in front of the Chevy Camaro. Skunky, meanwhile, has got his nose up the inside of Gary Leach. He's going to send it into turn 4. He will get the job done, but Gary's come back underneath. Skunky's run wide. Gary's to the inside. Skunky will have the inside for the next corner, but Gary's going to hold it strong around the outside and swoops around the outside and keeps the lead of this race. Brilliant racing from them. Did Jamal Clouden clear Dan Taylor? No, he didn't, and he's still stuck behind. And then we got this quartet of cars. 5 cars all fighting it out. Andy not a million miles away from it either. So a great fight here as Sam's under some pressure from Susie's. Oh no, Susie's Cream is a lap down. He's trying to get out of the way. Meanwhile, Skunky is still on the back of Gary Leach, and Gary's defending turn number 1. He brakes earlier to get the car turned in. He does, and Gary's probably hoping now that Matthew Duffin gets in a little bit more of a fight here, which Matthew gets right onto the rear wing of Skunky. Clouden and Dan having their own fight now. Has just dropped off this 5-way fight. So Clouden kind of needs to start working his way through Dan Taylor so he can stay on the back of this. As Gary's gone deep into the chicane, he had to cut it. And Skunky now, he's run wide himself. Gary's going to be compromised on the exit of the final corner, and he is. Skunky's had to bolt out of the corner quicker than he probably wanted to. And now once again the Ginettas are going side by side. Here comes the Mercedes and Matthew Duffin, so strong in a straight line. Is he going to try and outbreak the pair of them? He does. And Skunky and Matt come together. Matt's gone and lost a little bit of ground there. He's sliding, and Gary's going to go right round the pair of them. And Gary Leach retakes the lead once again. He's on the inside, and Skunky's going to look up the inside of Matthew Duffin once again. Meanwhile, old Sim Racer has got a drive-through penalty for probably track limits. Matt's going to try and outbreak Skunky here. Skunky's up the inside. Skunky's going to keep hold of second place, and they retain their positions. Clouden has finally cleared Dan Taylor, but runs wide in turn 4. And Matt Wright and Stardog are having their own fight behind all this lot. Meanwhile, Sam, old Sim Racer, Nuclear Waste all having their own fight further back. So Gary Leach, after all that, still leads this race, but ahead of Skunky and ahead of Matthew Duffin now. It's still as it remained earlier on. The only difference is now is Jamal Clouden now clears Dan Taylor. Can he do anything about the top guys now? One driver down, 5 to go for Jamal Clouden. Can he do anything with this only 7 minutes left of this race? Brilliant racing here at Catalonia for these GT4s. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch. Gary still trying to hold off Skunky for as long as he possibly can. Duffin trying to find any opportunity to make his way through. Gary and Skunky into the chicane they go. Duffin goes a little bit deep. He's going to compromise his run as Skunky has a much better run through here. While this has all been going on, Darren and Will Friedman has started to catch this group, and Will Friedman has taken fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden is on the move on Stardog, but Skunky once again in the slipstream of Gary Leach. He's going to stay there for as long as he dares. Try to brake later than Gary Leach. Gary turns in. They make contact. They both slide. Skunky comes off worse, and he manages to collect it together. Jamal Clouden gets a free move there. Dan Taylor looking to the outside of Skunky now. So Gary Leach still leads this race, but ahead of Matthew Duffin this time. And Skunky dropping down the order, and Jamal Clouden only a couple of cars behind now the top 4. The whole group of cars are there. Will Friedman has just dropped off the back ever so slightly, but the top 9 are pretty much together. Wonderful racing here at Catalonia. Jamal Clouden now looking to make a move on Matt Wright. If he clears Matt Wright, it is then just Matthew Duffin and Gary Leach to start from the back of the pack pretty much. To end up winning this race would be a phenomenal job from Jamal Clouden. He's looking to make a move on Matt Wright, makes him realise that he's going for the outside. Thought about doing the inside but can't get the job done there. But he'll look to get a better exit. He goes to the outside. Matt Wright has a slight twitch. But the thing is, as soon as you give Gary Leach and Matthew Duffin breathing air, they will pull away. And that's what they're doing at this stage. Jamal Clouden needs to get this job done ASAP. And he's up the inside, going into the right-hander. And Matt Wright's going to hold his position strong. Skunky's right behind them. And once again, Clouden to the outside. He can straddle the curbs. They make contact, and Clouden gets the job done. Matt Wright goes wide as they all try and work their way through. And Skunky's up the inside as the top 2 disappear. Oh, Skunky and Wright just coming together there. As Will Freeman has cleared Hugh Darren already. Stardog's now attacking Skunky, who's going to look up the inside, goes Stardog. He's going to get the job done. Has he outbraked himself? He's made contact with Matt Wright. And Skunky comes through, as does Taylor, and Stardog comes off worse. He goes round, and it was all going to end in tears sooner or later. Can Jamal Clouden do anything about Matthew Duffin and Gary Leach? As Hugh Darren looks up the inside of Dan Taylor. He does so, and Will Friedman goes around the outside of the pair of them. Oh, Dan Taylor makes contact with Will Friedman. He hits Dan Taylor, who Darren as well. So it's Gary Leach from Matthew Duffin, from Jamal Clouden, from Matt Wright, from Skunky, from Will Friedman, who's ended up dropping into this fight that you probably don't want to be in. Dan Taylor now on the back of Darren. Stardog behind them. Sam, Nuclear Waste. Rolo's gone off. Stardog's, that's Will Friedman off as well. So Friedman is in the grass, and Rolo, I think, is waiting for Friedman, but I think Friedman has had enough there, and he's in the middle of the circuit. Done all that work to catch the leaders, and it's not paid off whatsoever. Gary Leach, meanwhile, still holding on to this lead. Will Matthew Duffin allow Gary Leach to have this race win, or will he try and overtake his good friend, as Matt has gone a little bit deep into the chicane? But look who's lurking behind. It is Jamal Clouden. The gap is 2.4 between Matt and Jamal. What's it going to be after the end of this lap? They're probably going to have 2 more laps after this. It is 1.8. Jamal Clouden sets fastest lap of the race. If he keeps that up, he will be on the back of these guys once again. Matt Wright, though, still in 4th, ahead of Skunky, ahead of Darren, ahead of Dan Taylor. Stardog in 8th. Will Friedman, I think, has left. No, he's not. He's got going. Yeah, he has got going. So Stardog still in 8th. Sam in 9th. 10th is Nuclear Waste. 11th is Andy. Rob Smith tipping Collins and KLF. Rolo into the pits. DJ Phil in the 17th. Old Sim Racer 18th. Friedman in 19th, and Susie's Cream down in 20th position. So now we've got a fight for the win here between Gary and Matthew. I don't think Jamal Clouden's going to catch him in time unless they decide they are going to hold each other up. But Matthew Duffin right behind Gary Leach. And Gary Leach is probably not want to give this one up. He's not had a win in a long time. Into the hairpin they come. Clouden does bring the gap down momentarily, but not enough at this minute. He really could do with these two fighting one another. Skunky's caught Matt Wright again, but no real threat there at the minute. Tipping has passed Rob Smith, who's now under pressure from KLF. So KLF looking to possibly make another move just at the very end. And both Gary and Matt clobber that inside curb. That's going to invite Clouden to get a little bit closer once again, but not enough at this stage. Clouden, if he keeps this pace up, might get onto the back of him by the end of this race, but it's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, Skunky is pretty much pushing right at the minute. Down to turn number 1 to go. Can Skunky outbrake the Aston Martin? This is the problem with Ginetta. So good in the corners, but as soon as it comes to a straight, it becomes its massive weakness. You can't get far enough alongside. You need a shorter straight to really gain a good advantage from that. As Gary pulls away from Matthew Duffin. And Jamal Clouden pushing too hard. He's run wide. And I think that's going to be the end of his threat there, as Matthew Duffin now onto the back of Gary Leach. Will they finish in a 2x2 form, 1 and 2 formation? Who knows? KLF couldn't do anything about Rob Smith, as Andy's gone off wide, and he hasn't lost any positions because of that. Skunky is still pushing Matt Wright at the minute, trying to find a way past on the Aston Martin, but he can't seem to do so at the minute. And down towards the hairpin they come. Couple more laps, and I think we would have had another great fight with Jamal Clouden involving in this, as Gary pretty much holding Matthew up. Matthew had to hit the brakes in a corner that you didn't really need to touch brakes on, and Matt trying everything he possibly can in this late stage to possibly try and get Gary. In the chicane they go. In the end, Clouden just caught them right at the very end. But it's going to be Gary Leach, who's not had a win in a very long time. He's back on the top stop of the podium. Gary Leach wins here. Matthew Duffin in second. Jamal Clouden in another solid podium position. Skunky will get Matt Wright in the end. Matt Wright in fifth. Hugh Darren in sixth. Dan Taylor in seventh. Stardog is going to finish in eighth, with Rolo down in 19th place position. Sam is going to end up finishing in ninth. Gary celebrating by doing donuts. Love to see a couple of donuts here and there. Nuclear Waste in 10th. Andy in 11th. Tipping finishing in 12th place. Matthew Collins in 13th. Rob Smith just got pipped by KLF for 14th and 15th. DJ Phil 17th. DJ Phil 16th. Will Friedman 17th. Old Sim Racer for 18th. Rolo in 19th, and Susie's Cream in 20th place. But Gary Leach finally gets the win after waiting for such a long time, and it's great to see. We'll be back in a few moments' time as we will get the final qualifying session and final race underway. Don't go anywhere.
Green light. Go, go, go. Green light, show them what you got.
We are back live once again, ladies and gentlemen, here at Barcelona, Catalonia for the third and final qualifying session of the evening. And this has been a dramatic night's worth of racing. We've had rain, we've had drama, we've had tight races so far, and it has been brilliant to watch nonetheless. Regarding the championship standings, Matthew Duffin has still got a healthy lead at the minute. 131 points ahead of Skunky in second. Third is Will Friedman and Jamal Clouden now in fourth, with Gary Leach in fifth. Sixth is Kieran O'Reilly, with Hugh Darren in seventh, Andy in eighth, and Ian McGowan dropped in down to ninth. Sam is in 10th, with Tipping in 11th. Matt Wright in 12th place position, with in 13th Stardog. Old Sim Racer sat in the 14th place position. Nuclear Waste in 15th, with Dan Taylor in 16th and KLF in 17th place position. 18th is Diz. 19th is Darren Bell, with Rob Smith in 20th. The Janetta of DJ Phil in 21st, with Susie's Cream in Susie's Cream in 22nd. Collins sat in 23rd, with Lucas 24th, Rolo 25th, Shane 26th, Sky Strondemeyer 27th, John Goudet 28th, Pontin in 29th, Andrews 30th, Rushton 31st, and Beasley in 32nd place position. And Gary Leach happy to finally get a race win under his name. Can he continue that on as we go into the third and final race? One final qualifying session to go. They've only got one real lap to get on the board, possibly two if they got out in good time. But it is currently Tipping who is the leading car at the minute and going to be the first one to set the pace. You really do need to get that lap time on the board. If you don't, then you're pretty much in trouble for pretty much the rest of the session. As you saw with Jamal Clouden, it is possible to come through the pack and at least get on the podium. Might be a bit of a struggle to try and win the race, but nonetheless he did give it a very good go. Obviously, the quicker we go through the championship, the closer it is coming to the end. We've got past the halfway stage, which was snap. We're into the back end of the season. We are here at Barcelona first for the back end of the season. We then head to another Spanish circuit. We head to Valencia, which seems to be quite a favourable track with the drivers. They all seem to enjoy it. It's going to be interesting to see how the cars go on there. The Ginetta was relatively strong there as well. And then we head to Japan, the land of the rising sun. Suzuka for round 9 for the Pro and Pro-Ams. It will be round 8 for these guys. Obviously, they missed Kyle Army due to PlayStation and Xbox issues. Kota is then after that. Then Autumn Park is the penultimate round. And Donington Park is the final race of the season. We'll have obviously a little bit of a break as Tipping sets the pace. He does a 55 as Jamal Clouden does a 53.8. Duffin gets within 7/10 of him. Currently sat on his toe as well by the list of things. So a good lap time as Will Friedman puts it on pole and he gets out in good time as well. So he will be able to put another lap time on the board. Rob Smith crosses the line in 7th. Hugh Darren not able to get a lap time, but he is out there long enough to then pop another lap time in. Skunky now goes into P3. Stardog in P4. Matthew Duffin dropping down the order here, and we're still waiting for the likes of Gary Leach and all to put a lap time on the board. Is Gary out on track? He is. As Matt Wright now comes to the line. He now goes P3, and just behind him is Andy, who did put a lap time. He goes P3 as well. Where is Gary Leach? There he is. He now goes P5. So after Matt looking strong in P2, he's now dropped to P8. So It's going to be really interesting here as that's the end of qualifying. Dan Taylor not putting a lap time on the board, nor is Collins, and nor is Old Sim Racer and Susie's Cream. That's an Aston Martin back in the pits. That is either Sam or Nuclear Waste. Both of them are back in. Stardog is back into the pits. Who's in the far end of the circuit? It is DJ Phil and KLF. This is their one and only lap. DJ Phil comes to the line and he will start 14th place position. Lowest he'll start now is 15th because Hugh Darren is still on the lap. KLF now coming to the line, goes into 14th. 16th will be the lowest as Hugh Darren to complete a lap time. So now we look to the rest of the guys to come to the line. It was tipping the first one. He's in the pits. Who is it coming to the line first? It was Jamal Clouden. He's not improved. Has Matthew Duffin? He hasn't. Well, he has, but he has not gone any higher. Who Darren now goes to P4. Skunky, Friedman is improved. Andy hasn't. Skunky, where is Skunky? He's exiting the final corner now. Any improvement from Skunky? Skunky goes now into P3. As now Wright and Andy still on a lap. And towards the line now comes Matt Wright, and to the line he comes. No improvement, stays where he is. Andy then goes back up to P3. So it's Friedman on pole, from Clouden, from Andy, from Skunky, from Hugh Darren, from Matt Wright, from Gary Leach, from Stardog, from Matthew Duffin, from Nuclear Waste, Rolo, Sam, Tipping, Rob Smith, KLF, DJ Phil, Dan Taylor, Collins, Old Sim Racer, and Susie's Cream. Benny in the chat says, hey, just wondering when sign-ups are for next season are available. Be interested in running the GT4s with the newbie/amateurs. Look like a close bunch of racing to be had. Obviously, sign-ups will go out in the new year. We don't tend to get the sign-ups up and ready before... we tend to have quite a long break, especially when it's the Christmas period as well. So you're looking at possibly 5 to 6 week break between this season and next season. But if you join our Discord, which is in the description below as well, we can get you signed up in the new season. Obviously, the Discord will be constantly updated, so you will know when sign-ups are available. We're not sure if the GT4s are going to stay. We might have Porsche Super Cup next season, but nonetheless, we will be putting a poll out to see which drivers will want what as the side series. Obviously, we still got our GT3 Championship, which is on a Pro-Am on a Wednesday night, and we got our Pro class on a Thursday night, which obviously the Pro-Am class is new rookies and amateurs, as well as drivers who aren't quite on the pace of Pro. So make sure you join that description link that has been posted in the chat. And yeah, we'll keep you up to date on what's the plan. We are looking to see, like I said, possibly Porsche Super Cup is our side series for next season. But you have to join the Discord to see what is what. But nonetheless, we are looking forward to this round here at Catalonia. Final race here in Barcelona for the GT4s. And then we got the Pro-Am and Pro coming up for you on Wednesday and Thursday night. I am going to have a quick look at the weather that has been posted. For Pro hasn't been uploaded yet, but Pro-Am cloud cover is at 92%, while rain is 0.1. So we do have showers lingering around for the Pro-Am night. But there is still more weather lurking around. So there is rain about. Today was mostly cloudy with a bit of rain as well. Today we've got rain for the Pro-Am. It's actually a yellow warning for rain. And again, a yellow warning for rain as well. And that goes into Thursday as well. So I'm thinking there is going to be wet weather as well for Pro. So we'll see how that all pans out. And again as well, to the GT4 drivers, once this race is over and done with, the tickets will be open so you can put in driver incidences as well. But Porsche take another pole position here. And if you haven't done so already, have a look into the description below to see our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. They produce brilliant vinyl graphics, engraved gifts, excuse me, engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much more, including Simplay merchandise. Have a look at their Facebook page. And Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products as well. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk and their Facebook link is there as well. For all the drivers as well, if they are watching, I do want to confirm that this season there is a prize for the champions, both for all three categories: GT4s, GT4s, GT3 for Pro-Am and Pro, and Constructors as well. We have managed to arrange something for the winners as well, so there's more at stake as well for this season. I should have said that earlier on in the season, so now people might have tested a bit harder and worked a bit harder. But nonetheless, we are about to get underway here. And I see you join the Discord now, Benny. And I said, do all the information that's there, verify yourself, follow the rules and regulations, give that a good hard read because a lot of drivers don't do it, and then get yourself signed up. Must do the hot stint as well so that we can put you in the right category if you choose not to do the GT4s, but you choose to do another class. But most important thing, have you liked and have you subscribed to this channel? Make that sure that bell is hit as well, because if that bell isn't notified, you ain't gonna know when we are live, and we're live pretty much all of the time. But last GT4 action, it is Friedman versus Clouden, and we got a drive through first Andy, who's just out of position at the start of this race, and Clouden's straight line advantage of the Chevy Camaro disappearing down into turn number 1. Matthew Duffin right in the middle of this squabble of cars. Can he survive his way through? Skunky tries to go around the outside of Will Friedman, and looks like there's chaos there for Gary Leach. He's been involved with Stardog. There's contact there, but it is Clouden who leads the way from Friedman, from Skunky, from Matt Wright, from Andy, who's got to drive through anyway, so he's got to come in, and Matthew Duffin working his way up the order as well. Not a problem, Benny, and like I said, we'll keep up to date on what is going on in the Discord. And there goes off another car. That looks like an FBR Aston Martin, and I think it was Sam. Yes, it is. Sam's returning back onto track, so yeah, Sam got involved in an incident there. But it's Jamal Clouden from Friedman, from Skunky, from Matt Wright, from Andy, who's been passed by Matthew Duffin now. Rolo's had a good start. He's up in the 7th. Who's Darren in 8th. Nuclear Waste. Sam dropping down the order. He's now with DJ Phil and old Sim Racer. So the grid really mixed up here, but it was Jamal Clouden and that straight line advantage of the Chevy Camaro leading him into turn number 1. Friedman in 2nd, Skunky in 3rd. Matt Wright now, can he keep Matthew Duffin behind him the entire time? As Sam, you can see there, just dropping down the order. Multiple cars going into the hairpin as well. And I think as well, what I'll try and do at the end of the season is try and get the drivers to fill out a form to think on who they think was the driver of the season on the Discord as well. So I'll get that prepped and ready. But either way, Jamal Clouden leading the way. Will Friedman in 2nd. 3rd is Skunky. And Rolo now actually looking quite competitive and is on the back of Matthew Duffin here. So it's Duffin now got a little bit of pressure from the Porsche driver. Gary Leach now getting past Nuclear Waste. Tipping is not too far behind these two as well. Nuclear Waste straight line advantage should help him against the Ginetta as they head down towards turn number 1. And Gary will hold on to that position. Dan Taylor got past Tipping there. As we see there, KLF and Sam coming in. Sam on the dirt, sent out the inside of KLF. That was a bold move. As Andy has now served his drive-through, and he's going to be kicking himself about that one. Meanwhile, Clouden leading away and pulling away from Friedman ahead of Skunky. Matt Wright is ahead of Matthew Duffin, and Rolo is right behind him here. So Matthew Duffin really struggling in this first part of the race as Rolo's just sticking to the back of him. As we see there, Old Sim Racer and KLF going at it. KLF holding on to that position at this stage. Just had another one join, True Angel. Nice to see you in the Discord as well. Thank you for joining. But at the minute, KLF staying ahead of Old Sim Racer. Old Sim Racer looking to the outside of the hairpin and can't do anything at this stage as KLF will hold on to that position. KLF needs to make sure he has a good exit, which he does, and Old Sim Racer runs wide and just makes a little mistake there. Once again, Matthew Duffin being hunted down by Rolo and Hugh Darren now, as Matthew starting to get a little bit closer to the back of the other Matt of right in front of him. Oh, Rolo's had a moment there, and Hugh Darren luckily enough not to collect him, and around the outside goes Hugh Darren, and up a position he goes. Jamal Clouden though still leading this race with a healthy gap ahead of Will Friedman and Skunky in third. Matthew Wright currently sat in fourth place position, with Matthew Duffin going a little bit deep into the chicane, and Hugh Darren currently in sixth place position. And Jamal Clouden though trying to keep hold of that advantage as best he possibly can. So at the minute the gaps are all relatively spread out. Old Sim Racer is onto the back of KLF. Matthew Collins has cleared DJ Phil. Rob Smith is just behind them as well. But it's a three-way fight at the minute. Leading car about is KLF, currently in 12th place position. Old Sim Racer has had a much better exit out of turn 5. Looks up to the inside of turn 6 into 7, but KLF gets that covered. And no way for him through there. Now Sam's looking to make a move on Old Sim Racer up towards the right-hander. And not far enough alongside. Meanwhile, Will Friedman has brought the gap down to 8/10 between him and Jamal Clouden. Gary Leach has caught Rolo as well, so he's on his way through. Evening all, evening Dan. Been a good night of GT4 action. Yeah, race 2 was brilliant to watch. We had rain in race 1 as well. You missed all the action there, Paul, as we've had some great racing so far. And Gary Leach looking to the outside now of Rolo. Can he try and get the undercut on him? Rolo just struggling a little bit at this stage. Was looking to threaten Matthew Duffin, but has dropped off the back of him. Meanwhile, Friedman has got him in 2/10 now of Jamal Clouden, so that is close. And a Porsche driver has now woken up. Will Friedman has not had the best night's worth of racing, but he has woken up and he is on the back of Jamal Clouden. Oh, he touches the curb, and that loosens the rear of his car. Did Gary clear Rolo? No, he didn't. Rolo goes straight on out the chicane. Will that be a position for Gary Leach? Yes, it is, as Jamal Clouden and Will Friedman are going at it tooth and nail into turn 4. Skunky just off the back of this. Matthew Duffin flashing the lights at Matt Wright. Back early from Snooker. So be rude not to tune in. Oh, good man. Snooker's a bit boring anyway. This is more exciting. As Matthew Duffin looking to make a move on Matt Wright. Jamal Clouden now. Can he just pull away from Friedman? He has got fastest lap, has Clouden, but for how much longer? That is the question. Hugh Darren has trying to get onto the back of Matthew Duffin at the minute, but can't quite do so at this stage. Rolo's been passed by Gary Leach. Nuclear Waste is still under pressure from Dan Taylor, and he's got Tipping not too far behind them. Stardog now up in the 13th. Sam has dropped down the has dropped off the back of Stardog was up behind KLF, has now dropped behind a few cars as well into the sector where the Porsche seems a little bit stronger than the Chevy Camaro, but in a straight line the Chevy just pulls away from the Porsche. Not as dramatic as a Lexus does to anything else, but the Chevy pulling away now from Will Friedman as they head down towards turn number 1. Snooker is not boring, lol. Probably more the fact that I have like terrible aim in snooker, so I tend to be really bad at it. So, but what I found out the other day, I might have been shooting from my wrong eye, but hey-ho, what do I know? But it's from what I've seen, it's not the most exciting sport, but yeah, that's just my opinion. Paul, you obviously probably know the more exciting side to it than I do, as Will Freeman once again looking to the outside of Jamal Cloud, and Matthew Duffin got within a tenth of Matt Wright, but couldn't find a way through, as Jamal Clouden and Will Friedman are going at it tooth and nail. But at the minute, Clouden has got the advantage. What else is going on? Has who Darren starting to catch on to the back of the two mats. He's trying to. Gary Leach is not really catching them either. So it's really a fight for the lead at the minute and for fourth place. Matthew Duffin and Matt Wright going at it for those positions. Skunky's kind of in no man's land at the minute. Excuse me. Freeman looking up the inside of the kink. He's going to be on the outside of the right-hander. He's got the pace. He's got the momentum. He's got the grip. He's going to go around the outside of Jamal Clouden. Jamal still has the inside and is using that Chevy grunt just to stay in front. They're into the chicane. He has to give him racing room. He goes wide. He could take the curb. Friedman gets held up ever so slightly, gets a good run, but he can't get the job done. And down the straight they come, with them holding up one another. Skunky has got back within reach of them. Skunky now flashing the lights to say, I'm on the way, boys. Watch out. The Geneta's going to come flying up behind you. Down towards the first corner they go again, and Jamal Clouden probably being a little bit too defensive than he needs to be on the straights, and it's going to compromise his run through turn 1, 2 and 3. And Friedman is looking right behind Clouden, and Clouden runs wide again. We are past the halfway stage of this race. I forgot to put a poll out who you think is going to win this race. But Jamal Clouden holds onto that position again, goes deep into turn 4, but manages to scoop it back up. And Duffin also, meanwhile, has passed Matt Wright just behind them. Who Darren has joined the scene as well, as Will Freeman once again looking for a move. Meanwhile, DJ Phil is being passed by Susie's Cream. He's already been passed by Susie's Cream, as now Stardog looks to make a move on DJ Phil. Matt Wright, though, is trying to stick with Duffin. Taylor is onto the back of Nuclear Waste, nearly running into the back of him there. But this is the fight we're keeping an eye on. It's now the top three going at it. Once again, Clouden going defensive, not really in a corner. He has to defend because Will Friedman has now got an open door. He's going to be on the outside of the hairpin. They're side by side. And Will Friedman with the better momentum, he's going to be on the outside. He's not going to be better on the brakes, I don't think, than the Chevy. But he will try and undercut the Chevy Camaro. He gets a little bit loose on exit, and now Skunky's joined the party. 0.003 of a second separated them as they went through the split, and Jamal Clouden still hanging on to the race lead as it stands at the minute. Friedman from Skunky. Matthew Duffin trying to get back onto terms with him, but he can't quite do so at the minute. But the way Clouden's defending at the minute, we're not just going to have a three-way fight, we're going to have a six-way fight, because Wright and Hugh Darren are going with Duffin. So here we go, another lap completed. And it is Clouden. He does not need to defend in a straight line. He now comes up to turn number 1. Friedman taking more entry curb to try and give him a better run through turn 1 and 2. This time it's not paid off for him. He had to cut the chicane and lost time. So Clouden has got a small breath of fresh air. But for how much longer, that is the question. Meanwhile, Nuclear Waste has got a bit of a queue behind him. He's got Dan Taylor, Rolo and Tipping behind them. KLF in no man's land, with Sam with a bit of pressure from Matthew Collins. And Dan Taylor still trying to hold off from Nuclear Waste, as Benny in the chat says, go Friedman, fellow racer in the ALR League. Good to see him up top. Yeah, he's had a couple of bad races earlier on, but he's in the prime position to try and take a race win. And Clouden now to the hairpin. And Clouden once again under pressure in these tight, twisty corners. Each to their own, mate. It's all good. I heard you last week say that Castle Combe was your local circuit. It's 10 minutes away from me. It's my local circuit as well. Small world, mate. Well, I say it's my local circuit. I'm all the way down in Cornwall, so that's about as local as it gets, I guess. But yeah. And that's what's all GT4 is all about. Yes, it is. It is great, tight racing, and Clouden into turn number 1 we go from Friedman, from Skunky. And Duffin's not really making any edgeways. Matt Wright's dropped off the back of Duffin with Hoot Darren with him. Gary Leach has not really caught them either. So it's kind of no man's land for some of these drivers. As we will go back to the front. And once again, Friedman's had a great run through the first sector and is right on the bumper of Jamal Clouden. Skunky's there too. Skunky trying to get up the inside if he possibly can, but can't find a way through. Clouden goes to the inside, Friedman to the outside. Sorry, Clouden to the inside, Friedman to the in... Oh, I can't talk now. I'm ill enough as it is. Matt in the chat saying Matt Wright for the win. I think he's going to struggle here, but anything can still happen because Clouden's made a mistake going through the chicane. And now Will Friedman is on the back once again and is going to get congested once again. Duffin is slowly, surely going to be creeping his way onto the back of this Skunky, waiting patiently for an opportunity to arise. But he's not close enough. Oh, Skunky bouncing all over the curb. The 171 has got to drive through for track limits. That is Rolo. And this is tight, intense racing from the top 3 drivers. This is brilliant racing. This is GT4, like Paul said, at their best. And once again, we've got 3 different manufacturers, now 4 going at it. The top 6 are 6 different manufacturers. This is how good the GT4s are. There's no OP car. They're all relatively even. And it's still the Chevy Camaro leading the way. My voice is going to be done after this because I'm not well enough as it is. My throat is starting to hurt. But Jamal Clouden still trying to hold on to that position as best he possibly can. Susie's Cream has been passed by Stardog as well. Who Darren is still on the back of Matt Wright. If they work together, they can catch the leaders. As Jamal Clouden runs wide, the natural line for that Chevy just seems to run wide. And once again, down into turn number 4, Friedman gets closer and closer, but not close enough. Duffin is now joined onto the party. Clouden to the inside, Friedman to the outside. Skunky in the middle. And Skunky just does not have the straight line advantage to try and blast his way past the Porsche driver. And again, Clouden just pushing the limits through the chicane. That brings Friedman closer. Yeah, 6 different manufacturers. Chevy, Porsche, Ginetta, Mercedes, Aston Martin and Alpine. That's all we have here. We would have a KTM if that... Oh, then Friedman makes contact with Clouden, but he lifts off and allows Clouden in that position. Skunky tries to penalise Friedman there for that mistake and couldn't quite do so. Something is going to have to give in a minute. And Duffin really can't do much. He doesn't need to do anything, does Matthew Duffin. 3 of his championship contenders are all in front of him, and they're not outscoring him massively. The one that's closest to him in the championship is Will Friedman, and he can't find a way through on Clouden at the minute. Down the straight they go. Meanwhile, Matt Wright and Hugh Darren, no real threat to the leaders at the minute. Gary Leach is trying to catch him. He's just on the back of him. But down towards turn number 1 we go. And it is Jamal Clouden still. Oh, he's gone a little bit loose, but he holds it together and stays ahead of Friedman. Seeing the different lines that they take as Skunky and Matthew Duffin trying to get onto terms with him, and Friedman could see that he's much stronger in turn 3, but he just doesn't have the grunt by the end of the 3rd corner. Duffin probably sat behind this watching it all unfold. Friedman looking to the outside of Clouden. Is that the move he needed? He's going to try it. But there's no real... He's still alongside. But Clouden will defend the inside. Will have the straight line advantage. But Friedman's going to try and outbrake him. He can't do so. And there's no room there. Oh, I'm going to try and... as Clouden's gone wide. Clouden's gone wide. And he's gone deep as well into the chicane. Skunky now up the inside of Friedman, thinks about it. And this is the view that they have at the minute. Let's try and get on Duffin's view, sorry. This is Matthew Duffin's view of this whole scenario. So Skunky looking for a way through. Friedman trying to look a way through. I love GT4 racing as well. This is brilliant stuff. And this is Skunky's view. Leader is on the final lap here. Now Duffin, with the straight line advantage of the Mercedes, is attacking the Ginetta of Skunky. This gives Friedman a bit of a break, and Matt sends it up the inside, gets past Skunky. But Skunky will probably come back at him. Friedman, though, is still trying to find a way through. Skunky now stuck behind Duffin. Friedman looked up the inside, no room there. Around the outside they go. As Friedman makes a slight contact with Clouden, he gets it together. Friedman goes wide, and Duffman now is on the run. Friedman with a little tap there to Clouden has lost him the podium positions here. Can Clouden just hang in there? This is the last lap, and Will Friedman's thrown it all away right at the very end. Jamal Clouden now just has to defend from Matthew Duffin. Again, Clouden defending kind of in places that he really doesn't need to be. And now Skunky is on the rear wing again. Will Friedman's gone incredibly wide. And Skunky's right there, he's ready to pounce. And Duffin trying to find any room to find a way through. Friedman now gets himself a drive, and Clouden runs wide. He'll have the inside for the chicane. Duffin's going to go around the outside. He'll get the inside. He clobbers the curb though. Clouden's going to stay wide on the outside, and it's going to be Jamal Clouden with the ultimate defense. He hangs in there right to the very end. Jamal Clouden wins race 3 from Duffin, from Skunky, from Friedman, who's got a time penalty. Matt Wright will finish in 5th, 6th to 2 down. Gary Leach will finish in 7th. Dan Taylor is going to finish in 8th place position. My voice is gone. Nuclear Waste is going to finish in 9th. Tipping is going to finish in 10th place position. It is then going to be KLF to finish in 11th place position. Sam is going to come home for 12th. Matthew Collins in 13th. 14th is Stardog. Susie's Cream in 15th. Andy is going to finish in 16th place position. Old Sim Racer in 17th. DJ Phil is going to finish in 18th place position. Rob Smith in 19th. And Rolo rounds off the grid as well. Gary Clarble in the chat saying great racing. 249 says that was intense. It was indeed. My voice is gone. And yeah, and we just got into the back half of this season. Still loads to play for yet in this championship. Regarding the championship standings, I believe it's been updated. I was just doing them as we speak. But if you did enjoy that, please hit that like button. That was fantastic racing from the GT4s. Very intense racing. And that's the joys of this championship, and with the ballast on board as well. And we'll also add Jamal Clouden in here. I'm also going to add Gary Leach. We haven't heard from Gary have a race win in a long time. I know Skunky doesn't tend to do interviews, so we'll get Gary in instead. But a dramatic end to that. Something had to give in the end. And in the end, it was Will Friedman who made the mistake. Gary Leach, where is he? Has he actually appeared? Oh my God, he's appeared online. But nonetheless, that was great racing. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss any of the action. Paul Winter says awesome stuff there. And GG's to all of them. I'm now actually going to start a poll for driver of the day. Get that going. Driver of the day. But we do have Jamal Clouden and Matthew Duffin in with us. I will put Clouden. We'll start with Matthew Duffin. Are you ready to have a chat, Matt?
Yeah, ready to do. Tables are also up to date.
Thank you very much. Tonight looked a bit bleak at the beginning. Race 1 kind of didn't go to plan, but it slowly started to improve as the night went on. How did the Mercedes feel? And obviously, with it being quite a level playing field circuit, and that weight on board really must have hampered you ever so slightly in this race.
Yeah, the weight hampered me slightly. The Barcelona track wasn't great for around here for the Mercedes. Race 1 was going well, and I hit a wet curb and ended up hitting the back of Old Tim Racer. So I apologise to him. I sent him a message as well. Two wheels on the outside curb into the hairpin. It just didn't stop. Gary then did the same a lap later, which was quite funny. But no, the Merc struggled tonight, and we had to make the best of other incidences and other mishaps to other drivers. In the two races.
Yeah, like I said, obviously this being the hot stint track that we use is very well balanced, and obviously I have to comment on as well that the drivers there towards the end, top 6 was 6 different manufacturers, just to say how difficult it was. And this GT4 championship is not as easy as it first comes across, is it? You really do have to work for this.
Oh, it's so incredibly hard. Will Friedman, Skunky, it's a shame we've lost O'Reilly. You've got Clouden. Gary's now seeming to be back to form on this. Darren, Matt Wright tonight, Sam on his night as well. There's a lot of drivers who can do well in here. NLR Andy as well are, ones to watch out for and ones to keep an eye on. But it's just incredibly tight, and you can't take any second chances. You've got to give, absolutely everything you can. And if you don't give everything you can, you're not going to get any results out of this. I was fortunate to have a good Misano where people around me had a bad Misano. That's kind of gave me the championship lead I've needed. Because otherwise this would be incredibly, incredibly tight. I think it's only because of the mishaps of Misano, that with the reverse grid mishaps and stuff, that I've got such a gap in this championship. Otherwise, it'd be tough. But it's hard every week carrying that 40 kilograms. Just, race by race, we've got to take it. I was very fortunate that Friedman, Skunky and Cloud in race 3 was fighting so hard. Friedman had quality problems in race 2. Cloud had a quality ban in race 2. Skunky, Gary and Darren was fighting in race 2 to be able to get them there. It's narrow margins as well. It's as tight down as to, I've got past Skunky, ran little deep. He's had to avoid me in race 3. Cloud's come back onto the circuit while me and Skunky's coming through. These little fine margins is what's going to win you a race or make you finish P5 or 6 like tonight.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, we now move to the next Spanish circuit of the championship. We head to Valencia. How do you think you're going to get on there? Obviously, Ginetta last time round was very competitive there. You're in the Mercedes this time round and possibly will be carrying the 40 kilos on board as well. Tricky circuit for a big, heavy car, I would say.
Difficult, and the weather's going to play a part. Obviously, we know that Valencia's got a lot of bad weather around at the moment. We know the MotoGP's had to be moved from there to Catalonia in real life because of weather and floods that Valencia's got. So the weather's going to be one to keep an eye on. I'd kind of like a bit of rain, I feel, around there. Like you said, tricky circuit, and I think the rain is the equaliser. With the ballast as well, it gives me that bit more stability having a heavier car. I think it's just going to play into my hands, but we'll see what happens.
Well, nonetheless, mate, congratulations on tonight's racing.
Just want to well done to Gary as well. Clouden wins races and gets podium, as does Skunkin. Friedman regular. Gary's not won a race since we did season 1 of GT4s. This is season 3 now, and that was back on the PS4 days. That race too with him was fantastic.
It was indeed. But nonetheless, congratulations, mate. We now move on to Jamal Clouden. And a night of racing that you probably sat and wished that you didn't get a qualifying ban for, because that Chevy looked quick tonight.
I'm speechless, I can't lie. This thing is just absolutely amazing. I'm in love with the thing.
I mean, I did tell you that it's a brilliant race car.
Honestly.
Obviously, you came into this weekend knowing that or this week, you came knowing that you're going to have a qualifying ban.
Mm.
Tonight was just intense. I mean, obviously, the first race was top 10 couldn't qualify. You was in that top 10. Then you couldn't qualify because of the quali ban from retiring from the race before. You really had to work for your podiums tonight. And like I said, the hard work has paid off.
It has, and honestly, I was just so calm throughout the night. It was just the car just felt right. I couldn't fault it. I'm just lost for words. I can't deny. I'm lost for words.
I will have to make a comment though, just before we got into racing. The final sector in practice, you had a small incident on your own. There's a curb there that, I mean, I practiced over time and time to get a decent photo there, to get the M4 to go on two wheels. You managed to put the Chevy on the side door. How did you manage to do that? Because that car can run curbs a Bentley can eat curbs, but somehow you managed to put it on its side.
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. You could call it. You can maybe say it was experimenting, see if it could flip, and there you go. Skating on its side.
There's a good thing this isn't real because I don't think your team would be overly impressed with the damage. But nonetheless, obviously that race 3 that you took the race win on, you had some pressure. Friedman, Skunky, and Duffin all at the very end. How you managed to keep your composure, I don't know. And how you managed to keep hold of the lead as well at a few stages, I thought that was it was gone. But you somehow managed to do so. Just describe how much was going on towards the end of that race.
To be truthful, it was just pure tunnel vision. I didn't look anywhere else but just in front of me. Quick glance at the rear view, nothing else. I was just, nothing more to add to that was just pure tunnel vision and just staying focused. That was my main goal, was to win this race.
Well, nonetheless, mate, you have taken driver of the day in the chat. I'm also going to give you driver of the day as well because you've driven brilliantly with the 2 reverse grids as well to your name. Next race is Valencia. The last time you went to Valencia, things didn't quite go to plan as you'd wished. This time round, how do you think you're going to get on?
To be honest, I'm not too sure. I haven't driven the Chevy around there yet, so new stomping grounds. Definitely deep waters for me, and that. So I'm not too sure yet. And as Matt said, the weather could play a part as well. So we shall see.
Well, nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the win tonight and obviously the podiums you got as well. And congratulations on driver of the day as well.
Thank you. And massive shout out to Gary as well, man. That was, fair play, man.
It was indeed. Gary Leach getting a win, Clouding getting a win, and also we had Stardog getting a win as well. 6 manufacturers in the end of that race battling out in the top 6. It was absolutely brilliant to see. Regarding the championship standings, it looks like this. Matthew Duffett still leads the way. His championship lead has been sliced ever so slightly by Skunky. He's now only 136 points ahead, with Will Friedman now in third with 170 behind him. Jamal Cloudon's got a lot of work to do though to try and catch those guys. He's 274 points behind, and then Gary Leach is the first in the 300s in 5th place. 6th is Hugh Darren, 7th is Kieran O'Reilly, which is sadly we're not going to see the rest of him until he gets his wheel back, possibly into the new year. 8th is Andy, 9th is Ian, 10th is Matt, 11th is Sam, 12th is Tipping, 13th is Stardog, 14th is Old Sim Racer, 15th is Nuclear Waste, 16th is Dan Taylor, 17th is KLF, 18th is Diz, 19th is Darren Taylor, 20th is Rob Smith, 21st is DJ Phil with Susie's Cream in 22nd, 23rd is Matthew Collins, 24th is Rolo, 25th is Lucas, and 26th is Shane, 27th is Sky, 28th is John, 29th is Pontin, and 30th is John Andrews. Rushton in 31st, and Beasley in 32nd. That is it for GT4 action. It's been absolutely brilliant watching these guys racing around here. I'll be back with Matthew Duffin in the commentary box tomorrow night for the Pro-Ams, as they will tackle Barcelona, and there is rain lurking for them. For the pros, meanwhile, I have no idea what's happening for the pros. But nonetheless, make sure you join us tomorrow night for that action. But for myself, and all the GT4 drivers, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified. And we will see you all tomorrow night at Barcelona once again for the Pro-Ams. Good night.